Picked up a set of Yongnuo YN-622Cs about 4 or 5 months ago, and I wanted a chance to really run them through their paces before I created a video for you guys. And this isn't going to be a hands-on video like I did for my YN-562 because it just flashes. You know, you guys don't need to see that. So I'll just give you my thoughts on it and what I liked and didn't like about this particular radio trigger. Now they came out with, I think it's about a month ago now, with the 622N for the Nikon version. And there's a few subtle differences because the Canon and Nikon flashes work differently, but basically they're the same thing, right? The functionality is going to be pretty much the same. So this is an inexpensive way to get into TTL or wireless TTL capabilities. And they're even less expensive than the Pixel Kings, which you see right here. Now they look very similar, and they are very similar, and I'll get into the subtle differences between the two. Now, whereas the Yongnuos cost about $86, I think, from the Yongnuo store, these cost on eBay at about $120, depending on what dollar you're using and where you look for them. So the 622 is a 2.4 gigahertz radio transmission system, and it's the same as the Pixel King. And what that means is that there is no line of sight required, kind of like the ridiculously expensive Canon STE2. The STE2 system is for TTL, and it requires line of sight because it uses an infrared system. These are radio triggers, like the 2.4 gigahertz, so you can have it behind another wall as long as it's not too thick, concrete, so on and so forth. But yeah, you can have them hidden. You don't need to. They don't need to see each other to work, which is great. So the basic functions with this particular unit is it has 7 channels and 3 groups, and this will allow you to set up multiple different flashes. And if you only want to fire 2 out of your 3, you could set that to group A. If you want to fire all 3 of them at once, you could set that to group B, and so on and so forth. You get a PC sync cord, which you'll see right here, or a PC sync port, and you'll also see that the Pixel King has it as well. They have second or rear curtain sync, depending on what you choose to call it. High speed sync if you've got a speed light that's capable of doing high speed, and that's to a maximum of 1/8,000th of a second. A lot of the consumer grades only do 1/4,000th, while the higher ends do about an 8,000th of a second for a max shutter speed. So you're going to be covered no matter which system you use. They have a red AF assist beam, which will help you focus in low light, especially if you're doing a backlit subject with the sun, for example. It's going to be hard for the camera to pick up some contrast on the face, so this little red beam will help you pick a focus point. So these are compatible with all Yongnuo and Canon EX2 series flashes. So as long as it's a version 2 flash for Canon, it'll be compatible. And for the Nikon version, they're compatible with the SB400, 600, 700, 800, 900, and 910. And these are, I believe, compatible with almost all of the DSLR bodies for Canon and Nikon. They don't have the D3 or D4 series listed on their site as being compatible. However, I have seen one particular person use it on their top-end bodies, so I don't know. As far as pros for these triggers, they're cheap, and they're cheap for TTL triggers. Like I said, they're cheaper than the Pixel Kings, and as far as I know, they're probably the cheapest on the market. And that being said, they work. You know, they're not going to be as durable as the Pocket Wizards. They're not going to be weather sealed, but they work. I take them on the job. I trust them. You know, I've dropped them. They work for me. These have a test button, which I really like, especially if I'm using my light meter. I just plug it into my light meter, give a test button, reads the light. And if you don't have a light meter, it's just good to have to give them a quick pop before you take the picture to make sure they work. One thing I didn't like about the Pixel Kings is there's no test button. It's just a channel select button there. So that was a bit of a pet peeve with the Pixel Kings. So one of the inspirations for getting the Yongnuos. As a Canon user, the reason why I use these eTTL triggers with TTL flash is because I don't, like I said in a previous video, 99% of the time I'm shooting manual. But shooting in manual, I have the ability to change the settings on the back of my camera screen. So as long as I have a TTL trigger, TTL flash, can use it in manual, still change my settings. That's why I like to use it. And these are a transceiver design, so you can see that it says transceiver here. It doesn't matter which one I have on the camera, it'll just sense it and use it. Whereas you'll see on the Pixel Kings that you've got a receiver and a transmitter. So I think it's better to have a transceiver, you know, that way if one fails you can just use another. If you've got multiple, no big deal. So the cons on this. The first one is there is no USB for firmware updates. Now I don't know if this is going to be entirely possible, not entirely possible, but entirely necessary. I haven't found a need to upgrade them. They work. I've had a problem with the Pixel King before where it needed a firmware update to work properly. I don't know. The channel button is too close to the test button. Sometimes I want to go test, I'll end up changing the channel, and it's more of a minor annoyance than anything else. It's just a pain in the butt. Locking wheel instead of a lever. Now, if you use Canon or Nikon systems, they'll most of the time have a locking lever. And I really wish Yongnuo would start putting levers on their flashes and triggers instead of these stupid wheels. I hate the wheels. I'll pay the extra $5, $10, whatever it costs you guys to make it and put it on. Just please do it. Again, it's a minor annoyance. It doesn't change the way that these things work. It's just a pain in the ass. Another con is that they're only available for Canon and Nikon systems. If you have a Sony, a Pentax, Olympus, you're sort of shit out of luck. However, I think with other options like the Pixel Kings, you can get them for different systems. And the other con is that they don't have cables or a little case that come with them. The Pixel King did, Yongnuos don't. You know, I've already got cables, so it's not a big deal. It would just be nice if they came along with the package. That being said, they are quite a bit cheaper, so take it for what it's worth. So who's this for? It's if you don't have TTL flashes, there are better manual trigger options out there. Not maybe necessarily better, but cheaper. So Yongnuo makes quite a few. You can I've heard of Cactus, never used them, so I don't know if they're any good. Pixel has some manual flash trigger options out there as well. So if you don't have TTL flashes or you don't use TTL, go the manual trigger route. You'll get far more for the same dollar, and you'll probably be happier that way. Again, as a Canon user, I have the capability of changing the flash settings from the back of my camera. That's why I use TTL flashes, and I've used them in a run and gun event style where I've had one flash with the trigger on it and I sort of just took pictures with one hand, flash with the other. And that's the only time I really use TTL, and it works for what I need it to do. So whether you're an enthusiast or a pro on a budget, or maybe you just need backup triggers to keep in your bag, the YN-622s are a very affordable way to get you shooting off camera flash, and I do highly recommend them. So like I said before, you won't get a rock solid build or weather sealing out of these triggers, but they're only $86 I think I said. So compared to the Pocket Wizard Flex T5s or TT5s or whatever they are, it's a huge amount of savings, and you've got to give something up with the cost savings. Again, reliable, and they just work. So let me know, what do you think? Have you used them? Is there another system that's within the price range that's TTL that works for you? I'd love to hear it. Take care.